UFOs are real, burgeoning, not going away. This is the coming Great Deception. This is in all media. UFO talk, UAP talk is almost on a daily occurrence. So, as your intrepid host, I need to inform you of what is going on. I want to thank some of you that send me information like this so I can stay abreast because things are happening. It's in all media, it's a global phenomena, and it's not going away. We'll get into this. This is Representative Tim Burkett talking about 6 defense scientists dead or missing in under a year. Internet claims strange deaths linked to secret U.S. aerospace work. So, look, I'm just one guy reporting this, but I'm not a happy camper about it. We'll get into it. First, a word from our very trusted sponsor. Not watch the number move on a screen. I mean physically held it in your hand. That's what I love about gold. It's real, it's tangible, and it's yours. No passwords, no logins, no 6-digit codes texted to you for access. In a world that's getting more digital, more abstract, more complicated, gold is simple. That's why we're seeing a massive shift into precious metals. As everything moves to the cloud, people are starting to value what they can actually hold. There's something powerful about that, folks, because real ownership is becoming rare. If you want to see what that looks like for you, check out noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com. And right now, all new qualified accounts receive a free 10th ounce American Gold Eagle as a thank you. Real gold in your hands. That's the whole point. Noble Gold makes it simple. You choose what fits your budget. Coins, bars, whatever makes sense. And it ships straight to your door, fully insured. NobleGoldInvestments.com, NobleGoldInvestments.com. We invested, and I'm really glad we did. Before I get into this, there are some of you out there who won't even look at stuff like this. And what you need to understand is, look, I've been threatened by a guy from a deep state. Okay, I know what that's like. This guy appeared out of nowhere, wanted a meeting with me in Dallas. I had a witness with me who was packing and, showed me his badge, and then he threatened me 3 different ways how they could take me out. Isn't that great? And then Trump got elected, basically all went away. But now what we're seeing here is the same type of skullduggery. So I covered your prayers. Peggy and I covered your prayers. I'm a worm. Without Jesus, I mean, that's it. It's over. So, I look to the Lord in his strength, certainly not my own. So let's get into this. And the reason why we do this, folks, is because it's coming. It's happening. Trump, I believe, will disclose at some point, maybe in May. We had Jamie Walden on, ex-military guy, who was meeting with some of these officials in Congress for like 10 days, he said, I think, in the interview. And he said they'd moved the timetable up from the anniversary of the Roswell event, which would be, I think, 78 years now, right? Or 79 years. They moved that up from July 7th, 8th, 9th to sometime in May. We'll see. So I'm on this because I've written books on it. We've got my business partner and I, Gil Zimmerman. There are 10 films on the whole UFO phenomena. And by the way, that's the Kumbergaz UFO right there, which I believe is the best UFO footage ever done by the late Dr. Roger Lear. 10 films, and you can watch them all for $50. If you just go to streaming.lamarzulli.net, they're all up there. You can watch all 10 of them. Or you can get the DVDs and watch them there. But you need to arm yourself, folks. This is the coming Great Deception. Remember, 1 Timothy chapter 4 warns us. The Spirit expressly states, written 2,000 years ago, the Spirit expressly states that in the latter days some will depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and the doctrine of demons. We're here. We're here. Okay, let me roll the tape and we'll get into this. Here we go.
You heard about this, an absolutely wild story at a time when we could be on the verge of some kind of disclosure about alien life and UFOs from the White House. They've said this. 4 people who worked in government programs and knew a whole lot about that topic have either vanished or have been murdered. The first was retired General William Neal McCaslin, who had ties to UFO programs in the government. He disappeared suddenly from his home in New Mexico in February. He left his phone, his glasses, and his watch at home. He also worked at an Air Force base that reportedly held the debris from the Roswell, New Mexico crash in the 1940s.
So let me stop right there. So see the way they're rolling this out? See that? Allegedly, he worked on an Air Force base, more than likely Wright-Pat. More than likely Wright-Patterson, but, who knows? I think it's Wright-Pat. And they had the debris from the Roswell crash. I mean, how many times do we have to hear this? How many in our film, on our 10-box DVD set, we sat down with Jim and Carolyn Rankin. Jim passed away just a couple of months ago. And both of them were on camera saying that this particular guy, that they were in, last stages of taking care of him before he passed on. And, this Colonel Hill knew what he was talking about. And he said right on the record that the Roswell event was real. He was flown in to try to communicate with one of the alien bodies that were still alive. So the crash site is real. I have personally talked to too many people who were either eyewitnesses or secondhand witnesses. So let's continue. What's alarming is people are missing. Here we go.
Then it was Monica Reza, a former NASA engineer who worked directly under General McCasland on advanced propulsion engines. She vanished while hiking in California last June with friends who say they have no idea what happened. Then it was Nuro Larejo, the director of plasma science at MIT. He was murdered in his home in Boston in December. And then it was Carl Grilmar, a Caltech astrophysicist who discovered water on another planet where there may have been life. Carl was murdered randomly in his home last month. Our next guest says this was not a coincidence.
Everybody's thinking it's UFO, but he had some nuclear secrets. There's just too many of them disappearing, Benny. Nothing happens by coincidence in this town or around this town.
Tennessee Congressman Tim Burkett is joining us. He's also a member of the Oversight and Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, good to see you. What do you think's going on here?
Well, I don't know exactly. I just know there are no coincidences in this town. These folks have disappeared or died mysteriously, and there's only thing that ties them together is the fact that they work on things that are dealing with outer space, whether it's UFOs or nuclear secrets or missiles or what have you. But I think we need full disclosure. When I'm in a meeting, in a closed door meeting, and I asked about the president's points on these, and then I'm told by some arrogant, unelected bureaucrat that the president is on a need-to-know basis, I think that says everything it needs to be said about what's going on. I think there's an arrogance, there's an underlying, I talked to the president about this. I said, it's just layers of the onion, Mr. President.
Let me stop you right there. And this is problematic. When I was contacted by by the guy from the deep state, what he told me? He took me to school. And I'll never forget it. He told me, LA, we don't care who's elected. We don't care who's in the White House. They're there for 4 years, 8 years. We've been here for decades. And this is where the black ops come in. This is where the money, who knows where it goes? Your tax dollars, my tax dollars, right? Goes to these entities, just like Burkett said. Some little, punk, arrogant bureaucrat who's not an elected official is saying, well, the president, to need to know, and the president doesn't have a need to know. How many times have we heard this? I wrote about it, what is it, 20, almost 30 years ago, Nephilim Trilogy. It's a fictional account, and basically, said the same exact thing. National security, you don't need to know. There it is. That umbrella, that covers everything. So, Burkett, look, the bottom line is this. We have no idea what's going on. None. And isn't it interesting? And I've been talking about this for months. John Adam put a couple of clips of me saying Donald Trump needs to do an executive order and go in there with the best of the best, to go to Area 51, go to Wright-Pat, open the thing up and see what's in there. Take congressmen, congresswomen, go in there with film crews. American people of the world have a right to know what's going on. But all this has been kept under wraps. I'm just going to show you something. And I've done this numerous times before. This is July 8th. So July 7th is when Marcel and others view the craft. RAAF captures flying saucer in Roswell region. The next day, July 9th, General Ramey, excitement not justified. It's just a weather balloon. And that story has been told over and over and over again. We were out in the debris field. My business partner, Gil Zimmerman, Jim Peterson, Chuck Sikowski, Frank Kembler. We found a piece of the metal. We've had it tested. It's in between two known aluminum alloys. It needs more testing. We're looking for a lab in Los Angeles that can run a current through the metal and maybe do some other testing to see if there's other anomalous properties in it, but we don't know. So if you can hook me up with that, la@lamarzulli.net, that would be greatly appreciated. So, the bottom line is something's going on. I would call it pushback. Luis Elizondo, whistleblower, has also stated lots of pushback. So let's continue.
One on, and there's another one underneath. You put your top people in, and it's just too much to clear out in 4 years. And it's just, we've got a real problem, I think, in this area. And I think you've got some arrogance. When I sit in a meeting and some little punk with a man bun is sort of running the show and grab decorated military officers in the meeting there that are basically unallowed to say anything, and you can read their faces for what's going on.
Well, General McCaslin, he was not a minor player at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. He was there for more than 25 years.
Okay, stop right there. He's at Wright Pat. So this guy's got to know what's there. I'm just saying, this conjecture on my part. I don't know whether, McCallison was privy, but he's a general. In my opinion, this is why he was taken out. Maybe he was getting ready to go public. I don't know. Whistleblower. And this is really problematic. And we've heard this numerous times, that the bodies from the Roswell crash, along with the debris, were flown where? Right, Pat. Let's continue.
At one point, he was the top guy at that base, and he just disappears. His family has no idea what happened. Do you think the cases are connected, or do you think this is just some absolutely wild coincidence? Because all four of these people are also connected in some way.
Yeah, I think some of them could be a domestic issue, but I think overall, I think there is a connection there. Because I'm doing it also it's we're ever going to know, because it'll come out, and it gives enough time for the trail to go. It's like when a kid in Washington D.C. gets they find him dead, and they claim that he was mugged. Yet his watch and wallet and he's got cash on him are not taken. But that's just the story that's put out, and that's what we believe.
He's talking about the Seth Rich murder, which is we never got to the bottom of it. And Seth Rich was a whistleblower. This is during the Clinton campaign. This is a long time ago. And he just winds up dead. And Burkett, Representative Burkett is sticking his neck out here, literally. He's going up against the status quo. So let's continue.
I do not believe this is by coincidence.
And people just do not disappear. And the connections between all four of these people.
Not in this day and age. Nope. Yeah. So you got to have some real inside type of operations.
Okay, I want to play you a soundbite. Former colleague of yours, Matt Gaetz, making some pretty shocking statements yesterday about aliens. Take a look.
I had someone come and brief me who was in a military uniform, worked for the United States Army, that was briefing me on the locations of hybrid breeding programs where captured aliens were breeding with humans to create some hybrid race that could engage in intergalactic communication. Aliens that were living were in forced breeding programs with humans that had been abducted from war zones and from even the caravans of migrants.
Let me stop it right there. We did a show on this. I believe it's aired, Stolen Seed Evil Harvest with Karen Wilkinson. You need to watch that show. It's aired this week. And again, we're offering the book for $19.99, and you get free Rungs of Disclosure. So, we're doing our part here, folks. I'm on it. I'm definitely on it. And again, I want to thank those of you, Mark Kahn, for instance, Matt Freeman. These two guys send me stuff all the time. Karen Wilkinson sends me stuff, and others. So let's continue, and we'll get Tim Burkett's take on what Matt Gaetz has said.
All right. I mean, I don't have the tinfoil hat on just yet.
I do.
Sven, but I'm wondering, kind of how you react to that, because you are connected. You're on the UFO subcommittee. I mean, I'm just wondering what you make of that. Have you heard anything like that?
Well, I'm still a member of Congress, so I can't really comment too much on what Matt said. But I will say this.
Wait, seriously? Are you being serious, or is that?
I'm being 100% serious. I've been 100% serious. I've been briefed by just about every alphabet agency there is. And I just take this, if they would release the things that I've seen, you would stay up, you'd be up at night worrying about or thinking about this stuff.
Let me stop right there because Anna Paulina Luna said exactly the same thing, almost verbatim, and they're both on the same committee together, by the way. And so they've seen stuff. It's there. It's there. It's coming. This is the Great Deception. Trust me, it's coming. You know, I've been banging this drum for decades, 30 years, mostly on deaf ears. And even now, you know, I'm risking a lot by doing this. Every single day I'm on it like white on rice. We covered your prayers. We really do. And yet, for the most part, church doesn't want to hear about it. Okay, let's continue.
Just need to disclose it all. I'm sick of it. Well, I was brief. I'll just tell you this. I was brief last week on an issue, or excuse me, 2 weeks ago. And it would have set the earth on it. This country would have come out of the blue, I think, if they would have heard all that I heard. They would demand answers. And they knew, and we need to. But, you know, it's never going to get, unfortunately, it just keeps getting covered up. And the people that know are dying or disappearing, as the case may be. And for the record, I'm not suicidal, and I don't take risks.
I'm glad you said that.
So once again, and folks, I'm not suicidal, okay? And I don't take unnecessary risk. I'm just a little guy, you know, I've got some DVDs and videos, and I've been banging this drum for decades. This is the coming Great Deception. There's no doubt about it. It's coming. It's unraveling. And we'll see where it goes. But let's continue, and then we'll wrap it up.
I'm speechless, Congressman.
We should be. You should be. Trust the president. Release it all. And the problem is, the people that are around the president don't know and the president doesn't know the questions to ask. A few of us are going to have to get with the president and tell him what he needs to ask and where he needs to look. I mean, you know, we're in meetings and they have addresses and tell locations of items, I'll just say. And the public has a right to know that. I mean, it's your tax dollars.
You got my attention, Congressman. I appreciate you being as forthcoming as you have been tonight, and we look forward to having you back. Look, I know Donald Trump wants to disclose something. He hasn't done it yet, but I think he wants to be the president to do that. Tim Burkett,
he does. Yeah, he does. Thank you, brother.
So there you go. And I just want to thank, you know, Tim Burkett for coming on the record, not with me, but with, you know, Newsmax and you know, look, let me just wrap this up. When disclosure happens, how does that affect you? What does that do to your Christian faith? Does it slam it down? Maybe Jesus was an extraterrestrial. That's what they'll say. That's what they'll say. It's going to shake everything. It changes everything. You create a one world religious system and a one world government, which is talked about in the book of Revelation and elsewhere. This is how you do it. This is how you do it. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for watching. I'll be back again tomorrow with another show.
Death comes for us all. Today, it came for Bob.
This is your life, Mr. Frisbee. You can call me Mr. O. Time does not exist here. We will go through every person you have ever wronged and everyone who has wronged you.
I can't forgive him! Bob, come down here.
Aunt Mary?
You cannot enter heaven with hatred in your heart.
Take my hand, Bob. We'll go together. Are you escaping, Bob?
Stay back!
Bob Frisbee must face every sin of his past. Will he find forgiveness in his heart or surrender to the darkness? Find out in the brand new novel by Marzulli, The Waiting Room.